Welcome back to another episode of Council Bluffs Today. I am Todd Studer, and we are welcoming back into the studio Cindy Schmader with ServiceMaster Restore by Schmader. Good to see you. Also, just on a personal note, thank you very much for stopping out and taking a look at a property that I know a young man is looking to get into and stepping out onto his own a little bit. And there were some issues, and you came out and just was completely upfront about it and say, hey, you know what? This is something you can handle. Yeah, you can, you know, this is not as bad as it looks.
Yeah.
You were not looking to just maximize profit on that. You were just very open about it. Yeah. And I think that's kind of it's kind of just how you operate, right?
It is how we operate. It's how I would always like to operate. I mean, sometimes we can't, but no, I mean, when I got out there, I mean, it was not, I mean, I know you don't know, you only know what you know, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I mean, but I had visions of coming out there thinking, oh my God, there's going to be mold everywhere. Right. And this is going to be,
it was to us. So when we looked at it, that's what we saw. Yeah.
But it's yours, right? And when it's ours, it's always 10 times worse. Mm-hmm. And that's why I always tell people I can come in with an objective because it's not my stuff. And I know that probably sounds not very professional, but at the same time, it's not my stuff. So I can look at it and say, this isn't as bad as you guys think it is. For you guys, it's horrible because it's your home. It's going to be his home. And then when I saw how eager he was to, I literally, when I said, oh, this carpet's got to go, and he started like pulling up the carpet, I thought, why would I bring my team out here and charge you thousands of dollars when this young man obviously has the go?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's on it. He wants to get it done. And it saves you guys money. So that's part of what we're about too. I mean, we go out and do estimates for free. I can give you several examples of people that we've done the same thing to. I mean, I love money, but at the same token, if it can help you out, and I know this is going to be his first home that he's buying, so he's probably not going to have a lot of extra money.
Oh yeah, he's
for him to be able to, and two, I could see the pride in him. Like I could see, like, I want to do this. This is my home. I want to take care of this. So I'm like, dude, here's what you got to do. And when I told him and he repeated it back to me, I'm like, he's got this. He can do this. So yeah, that was, and even when I drove away, I was like, if you need anything, I think I told you guys, if you need anything, give me a call. I'm here. I can come over, take a look, test it or whatever. I mean, but it's exciting that he can do it himself, and just kind of, I feel like it gives him another leg up to the responsibility of owning a home. He put all that work into it, and he needs to take care of it. So
here's what I'm seeing by what you're talking about, and this is a philosophy that I believe in, is that if you try to maximize profit on every client and every deal, and you only want to make everything go just as completely smooth for you as possible on every single one of them. And then if something doesn't go right, then, okay, we got to just completely change how we're doing things. And we have to, in order to stop this from ever happening again, because we can't have this. Right. That's a recipe for disaster.
It is.
I've always looked at it as I'm after a good average.
Right.
Some of your projects I know are going to be much less profitable than others. That's just how it works.
Yeah, that's how it works. That's just business. Yeah. That's just how. Some are less profitable, but we have a lot that are very profitable.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like when we work with the hoarders. Those aren't in the bed bugs. Those aren't the most profitable jobs for us, but it does get us in the foot to the door, either with a landlord or a property manager, or sometimes just the person's family. I did a hoarder job for a gal over in Omaha, and I believe we did her sister's fire, we did her daughter's water loss, and I believe unfortunately they had a death in the family, and the person died at home, and we went in and cleaned that up as well. So from one job that I made, actually, I don't think I even made any money on that one. If I go back and I haven't looked, sometimes I don't look at them because I just don't want to know. We didn't make any money on that one, or very little, but we had these 3 other jobs that we made good money on, or a decent amount of money.
Well, and that's also, you don't know where the next referral is going to come from. So in that particular case, and you said initially, barely made anything on the original thing.
Right. Yeah.
There's a chance that that could have never turned into anything else.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but still understanding that this is necessary to be. This is our philosophy. This is the way that we do business, because ultimately, you know, it will pay off. Even if not that particular client,
Somebody else.
that philosophy will ultimately serve you well.
Absolutely.
Morning Coffee supported by Bryce Taylor and GLI Insurance Group, serving Council Bluffs, Tabor, and Clarinda. Springtime in Iowa, a good time to take 5 minutes and make sure your home, vehicles, and anything you're pulling out for warmer weather are properly covered. Bryce and the GLI team live and work right here in our communities and are always happy to help you head into spring with confidence. GLI Insurance Group, local service, all seasons. Morning Coffee is brought to you by Keith Jones, your Edward Jones financial advisor in Council Bluffs. Learn how he can help you reach your financial goals. Visit edwardjones.com for more. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
We had a guy last week that called us. He unfortunately had his basement flooded. He had 2 feet of water. And I did not see it because I didn't go out, but he's telling me all concrete basement. I think his kids left the faucet on or something.
Uh-oh.
And yeah, which it's unfortunate, but it happens. And he called me and I said he wanted to know how much it would cost to get the water out of his basement. And I said, we're based on what he was telling me. I'm like, I'm going to guesstimate about $800.
Right.
And he's like, wow. He's like, well, I got 4 kids. The minute he said I got 4 kids, my daughter has 4 kids. I know what that's like. Their
Right.
kids cost.
Yeah.
So I said, well, where do you like to shop? Menards or Home Depot? Like, well, And so he told me, and so I got online. I was sitting at my desk at the time, and I got online. And I said, you can go and you can rent a submersible pump for X, and then you always have it in case your kids do this again. So you've got it. You can put that in your garage or whatever. I said, or you can rent one for 2 days or whatever it was for, I think it was an additional $10. And he's like, I mean, and it was, for me, it's not about the information or even about the cost. It was the sound of his voice when he's like, oh my God, I appreciate you so much. You have no idea how much I appreciate this. And, in my head, I was like, well, you're welcome. Not a big deal. But then later on that afternoon, I was sitting there and I thought that was huge for that guy.
Yeah.
That was huge. So waited a couple of days and called him back and asked how things were going. And things were fine. He was great. So, and I said, if you got a dehue, if you got a couple blowers, just throw them down there. It's all concrete basement. It will eventually dry. It's not going to hurt anything. But he was just so thankful. And where he lives in a community not far from here at all, but they talk. So I do go out there quite a bit already. So I have no doubt that he is going to pass our name along. But it's just, that's what I'm looking for. That I look for to pass our line. Referrals. Referrals are our biggest source of income. They really are. And they always have been. I mean, we've been in business for 23 years. And I can honestly tell you, if I go back and tell you the difference between referrals that we've gotten and insurance work, whether through an adjuster, an agent, or through our company, through corporate, it's probably a 30-70 split, and 70% being referrals. And I think it's just because the way we treat people.
Well, it's about trust building.
Yeah.
And you laid a very giant corner piece of the foundation of building a trust with that person, just simply because, all right, we're not going to, maximize profit on this, because there's a better way for keeping in mind what is best for a client before what is best for you.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's, when you and I first met several years ago, it was kind of I felt a connection about it. And I think it was just because of your business acumen and how you approached things, because I knew that here's somebody that thinks the way that I think.
Yeah.
And I like being around people like that.
Right. I like being around my own peeps.
Exactly. So that is it's encouraging to me to know that, okay, there's folks out there doing business that are actually keeping in mind what is best for their client, as opposed to how can I get however much money out of this person right now.
Absolutely. Well, and even when we went back, I could go back to 2003 when we were looking for a business, kind of our story is kind of weird, but my husband thought he was going to get laid off because a big corporate company bought a local company. And I said, well, he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And he was kind of freaking out because he's the breadwinner. He makes more money in our family than I do.
Mhm.
And I said, we've always wanted to own a business. Let's go buy a business. And so I talked to a broker. I don't know if I told you the story or not, but we went and talked to my mom and dad had a really good friend that was a real estate. She goes, well, I have an ice cream shop. I have a bar. I'm like, nothing with food, nothing. I'm like, no, I don't. I'm not a cook. I don't cook in
Right.
our family. So I'm like, nothing with food. And so she hooked us up with a broker and he said, well, what do you do? And so I had worked in the insurance world for about 2 years, 2.5 years, and my husband was in construction. And the guy said, I have just the company for you. And I said, well, okay, I'm going to slow you down a little bit. I said, because we want a company where we can go help people. Like, I'm not looking, I mean, money's great. I love money.
Mhm.
It's afforded us a lot of nice trips and a lot of things. But I'm like, I love the money, but I want something that I can help people so I can give back. And he's like, you'll be able to give back with this. We left that day and I got in the elevator and I'll never forget this. I looked at my husband and I said, I swear to God, if he comes back with anything food related or bar related, I'm going to scream. And he's like, well, let's just give him an opportunity. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. So we came back a couple days later and he had this ServiceMaster Restore business. And at first, I didn't know a lot about it. I didn't know anything about restoration. We never had I mean, we lived on a farm. So if you got water or fire or something out, you
Mhm.
took care of it yourself, right?
Right.
You're a farmer. So I did a bunch of research and then I started comparing companies because I thought, well, if ServiceMaster's out there, then there's got to be something else that maybe's better. Maybe we can do a little bit more. And it actually came back and in my mind, when I did all the pros and cons to the companies that I compared, this one was because I liked the core objectives of the company. And the one was do, faith. So faith was the one. It says, to help all people and to help people progress and stuff. And
Mhm.
so that's kind of one of my, I don't know. I like being able to help people and get that. I guess that thank you for me is better or means more than the money, if that makes sense. And I know it's probably kind of stupid, but
Well, and also it fits your personality very well because you are meeting people oftentimes at their worst.
we do.
Something horrible has happened,
We do.
whether it be, I'm thinking back to Chris and Drew and their house
Sure.
being
The
destroyed in a
tornado.
tornado, and
Yeah.
you were out there the next day. Said, "Oh, we got this. Here's how we're going to handle this." Because listen, that you
It
talk
was
about
pretty bossy.
well, true, but you talk about the emotional end of it. Your entire home has just been sent out over miles of a field,
Yeah.
and all of your belongings are gone.
Right.
You're just standing there in shock. And what am I going to do? You need somebody to come in,
Yeah.
and you can't make them feel any better that day.
No.
Nothing you do
No.
is going to make them feel any better that
No.
day. But you can start to give them a little bit of stability.
That's very true. All of that. A little bit funny story. So Kyle had texted me that night, probably 10 minutes after their house had gotten hit.
Hmm.
And he said, I need you. That's what
Right.
the text said. I need you, or we need you. We need you. And so I got in my car and said, send me your address. So I got in my car and I knew Kyle lived in Omaha. So I was
You're
trucking. I'm like I live halfway between Council Bluffs and Trainer.
right.
I'm headed to Omaha and I got to the lights at ISD and Lewis Central,
Hmm.
whatever the intersection is. And I get a text back from him and gives me the address. And I was like, I'm going the wrong way. So I flipped around
Right.
and went out. And so I was literally there probably 30 to 45 minutes after it hit. Um, Mom and dad, I mean, all of them, they were just,
Yeah.
but the sweetest people ever. And finally said to Kyle, Kyle, the windows are all blown out in your parents' house. First of all, we got to get them boarded up because you know how people are.
Mhm.
They like to look. So I called my team and they came out with some wood and some screws and stuff. And we got all the windows boarded up. But the second thing was, I'm like, we need to get the important papers out. Does your mom have any jewelry that we need to, the things that because anybody could have broken into that home. There were no windows. And
Right.
let's face it, boards screwed in are not really going to stop people that are determined to get in. So I just kind of started going down my checklist of what they needed to do. And I think, and Kyle's dad was just very, and I think that kind of helped bring him down. He focused on what we need to do. And so that's kind of my goal when we go to places like that is I can't help the way you feel. I mean, and I feel horrible for people. And trust me, when I pulled up, I was like, I couldn't even believe they were alive. Like it just was half the house was gone. The garage was completely gone.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, and things were everywhere. But what's really weird is the chickens were still in the chicken coops. So tell me how that happened.
I don't know. We were just talking about this the other day because I asked Kyle about that, and he said, "Yeah, they all survived." And I said, "Did you have to go find them?" And he said,
No,
"Nope, they were all right
they
there."
were all in the chicken because I even said, "How many chickens did you originally have?" And he's like, "They're all there." I'm like, that makes no sense. The garage that was
Yeah.
what 20 feet away
Mm-hmm.
is completely gone, and the chickens are all there. I- That's God's work. That's all I can say about that.
It feeds your soul a little bit, though, doesn't
It
it?
does. Yeah, it does.
Everything that you're doing and knowing that, because in a case like that, you got out to their house, you instantly, and I'm guessing here, but I believe this is true, you can see the path
Oh, yeah.
right away, and you can say, okay, so here's step one, but in your mind, you can already start to envision a finished product. So, and that helps you
Yeah.
along those steps
Yeah.
where the people that you're dealing with, they can't see it.
Yeah.
There's no way they can see it.
Right. And the next day was very interesting too. I mean, I was very bossy, not gonna lie, and I can get that way very quickly. But we were, and that a lot of people came to help, which was amazing. But we had boxes and we had totes and we had things, um, and the help was wonderful. And people are just grabbing and packing and putting. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa! We need to mark. Did it come from the kitchen? Did it come from the bathroom? Did it come? Well, maybe we don't know where it came from because there was some stuff in the house that we didn't know where it came
Right.
from. So things need to be labeled. Because otherwise, if they go to look for something, they've just got a bunch of boxes.
Right.
And where did they come from? So it was like, get pins, so I had a bunch of pins, markers, and we had brought a bunch of boxes and stuff and just said, okay, you three women, you work on the kitchen and mark kitchen on all your boxes. That's all you have to do. And I have to tell you, Chris had the most amazing pantry that I've ever seen in my life. Oh my gosh. These shelves would be a pretty good in
Right.
what she had, probably a little bit wider. She would can and so they donated a ton of food. I believe they took it up to Mineola where they got hit
Mm-hmm.
really bad up there. I believe that's where all that went. So that was another challenge was we were packing that stuff up, but whose vehicle are we going to put those in? Who's going to go deliver it? Because that stuff can't stay around for long.
Right.
We can't just let it sit outside. So it's like all of this stuff is rolling. So I would just literally go from room to room and take pictures for the insurance company because that's a huge one too. If anything's broke, you leave it on the counter. There's all these rules you're kind of barking out. And I know one of our other members at CBBC was out there and he was like, I didn't know you can be so bossy. I'm like, oh, this is like I'm only half. I'm at half speed right now. The guys were doing the outside, the women were doing the inside. It was so. I guess I've been to tornado, places where tornadoes have hit, and we've helped cleaned up. But that coordinated effort with that many people was it was so heartwarming just to stand in the driveway and just watch all those people.
Have you ever been at one that quickly?
No,
before?
No, never. No, never. Because usually like Elkhorn, when that one hit Elkhorn, out there, we were next day on one of them, we got a call 2 days on the next one. And I think we had the third or fourth day, we got 3 or 4. So usually it takes a while because it has to go through the insurance process.
Right.
You call the insurance company, they called and stuff. So, but here Kyle just called me directly. So that's the other, I guess the good thing of knowing me and having my number and you can call me directly. 9 times out of 10, I'm there before the insurance company even gets a phone call or knows about it. We had one over in Omaha. We had a water loss and the lady called me directly. I had just met her like the week before, which was so ironic. They had a water loss. My team and I went out. We spent probably 4 or 5 hours cleaning it up. And as we are literally walking out the door, because we're done, we're set up the dryers, we're walking out the door, she yells at me, hey, my insurance company's on the phone. Do you want to talk to them? And I said, sure. And the guy goes, well, before you start, and I'm like, it's already done. So, but those are in it, but it was with the company we're on a program with.
Okay.
So I knew the guidelines. I knew what I could do and couldn't do. So that kind of helps too. But yeah, no, we've never been on one that, and to be honest with you, I was a little in awe at first. I didn't know, because you've got the emotional piece of it. And Kyle was, with all of them, they were extremely emotional. And Kyle was out there with his wife and their baby. All the cars are trashed. Mom and dad are very, I mean, it was just, and it even got to me a little bit. I think that's probably the first one that I've even had to kind of step back and think, I need to take a deep breath, and where do we go from here?
Well, and this is really Kyle's story, but I think he's okay if I share what had happened with that, because they were all in that garage.
Yes.
Because that was the safest place, because there was block walls in there. And the room where they were at, he was standing in the doorway where there is no door to close it. So he's standing there.
Oh, there was no door?
And when the roof came off, he was standing there. It took all of his breath out. And he just talked about this because we just passed the anniversary. So he was just talking about it again. Yeah. And he said that was a noise that a level that he'd never heard, that loud of a noise. And you can hear him, because being who he is, with being the videographer,
right.
The camera comes out, because he had one with him, and there is a shot looking up through the garage that no longer has a roof, and you see the tornado leaving.
Yes.
He has that.
I saw that. Yes,
and that is one of the most spectacular shots to me that I think that I've ever seen.
Right.
Because 45 seconds earlier, they're in that.
Yeah.
And then it's gone, and he's had enough. Something you hear all the time is presence of mind. You hear that all the time, but that's what he did. Yeah. And so when you get out there shortly after that, because like I said, within 15 minutes, he was texting you.
Yeah.
So his mind is still there.
Yeah.
Good morning. Start with peace of mind. My Nurse Healthcare provides professional in-home support where it matters most, helping individuals maintain comfort, dignity, and independence in their daily lives. Their experienced nursing team focuses on personalized care, clear communication, and supporting families through every step of the process. It is healthcare built on trust, compassion, and real relationships. Learn more at mynursehealthcare.com. Tired of hot rooms, harsh glare, and zero privacy? Tint Advantage has the solution. With advanced window film, you can cut heat before it even enters your home or business, reduce glare on screens, and keep your natural light in view. And with Smart Film, your glass goes from clear to private in seconds. Total control, right at your fingertips. Comfort, privacy, and efficiency, all in one upgrade. Visit tintadvantage.com and take control of your space today.
It's still on where's everybody at, what's going on. And, it's funny too, because I have seen that shot, and that's an amazing shot.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
He needs to get, he should sell it. I mean, he really should, because it's an amazing shot. But he also has a shot of it coming, it came from the south, and it was coming across the field. I think it had actually hit another house. And I think another one, I think Travis Waldstein has a video of that.
Yeah. Well, he actually has that tornado first coming down out of the cloud, because Travis had that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Travis has that one. So then, so Kyle has video of this tornado coming towards him, and he showed it to me the next day. We were out there, and I was kind of standing there, and he's like, "Hey, you want to see the tornado?" And I'm like, in my head, I was like, I really don't. But I'm like, yeah. And he showed me this video, and I said, Kyle, at what point did you think that's headed for me? I'm in danger. I got to get my family safe. And he goes, oh, the whole time. And he's got a big smile on his face. And I'm thinking, you are going to be amazing at this video photography stuff, because you just like,
right.
But it was, that was kind of for me, that was kind of, I guess, an aha moment in my life, thinking, how lucky am I? Because I live just 2 miles west of them, off from Highway 92. It could have just very well have easily turned and came our way. And then where would I be? I'd be the same place that Kyle's mom and dad were at. So it was kind of a crazy thing. But they, and I think Kyle had said they found some photos in Denison or something.
Yeah. It went like a long way of their stuff. And there was other people that were seeing, papers that had traveled, 15, 20 miles or something like that, because that particular storm, when the tornadoes came down, they stayed. I mean, these were really long paths.
It was wide too.
Yeah.
It was really wide.
So it was a heck of a night.
Yeah.
And I was camping that night.
Oh, were you really?
I bugged out.
Like, I'm done.
Yeah, I got out, and I told the story just recently, and called my friend Rick Graybill, well on you, with Foxco Fabrication.
Oh, yeah,
so I called him, and I said, hey, I just got an alert on my phone about this. What are you seeing? How bad is it? And he said, oh, it's probably going to be pretty bad.
Oh.
And I said, well, I'm thinking about getting out of here. And
Where were you at?
I was at Arrowhead.
Oh, goodness, yes.
Yeah, with my
it was coming that way.
Yeah, I was at Arrowhead. And he said, I'm probably not the one to listen to, because I tend to make decisions based on what'll tell the better story afterwards.
Love him. Oh, love it.
And I said, yeah, I'm going to go.
Well, I will tell you that my husband is a go outside and watch the storm.
Yeah.
He is, we've lived in our place for 42 years now, and he's every tornado, everything. He's been out on the decks, and sometimes he'll walk even around our house from deck to deck just to watch the storm.
Yeah.
That one that hit Kyle's house, he did come in and he goes, okay, it is time to go downstairs. I'm like, literally in my head, I was like, really? Is it that bad? And he goes, it's going to be that bad, and I don't know if it's coming our way or not. He goes, we need to go.
Yep.
And that was like, holy crud, this is not him at all. Like, normally he stands outside and I'll be like, get in here. And he's like, oh, we're fine. We're going to be fine. And then when Kyle texted me and I said, I got to go. He's like, you can't go anywhere. The highways are closed, because we had heard that Highway 92 was closed.
Mm-hmm.
And it was closed just past, I think it was just closed. No, it was closed on the west side of Kyle's house. But when I pulled up in my car, because I had a ServiceMaster vehicle, I told the police officer, the state trooper, I said, I'm here to help them. He's like, you go ahead and go. So he let me go in, but otherwise they were not, the looky-loos were not getting very close that night.
This is something that we talk about all the time on the show with you and your business, is you are hopeful that they never need to call.
I am.
But
I am.
This is the reason why you get Cindy's number in your phone, because what happened a couple of years ago with that tornado, that no one thought that was coming until it happened. Yeah. And this is where we live.
Right.
So to me, it's like your own little insurance policy.
Right.
A personal insurance policy that if you have the person that you can call when disaster strikes, you're going to instantly start to get things rolling on the path to normal.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
That's why I appreciate what it is that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to add to that, and I totally agree, but to add to that, call me before you call the insurance company, because sometimes I can, if it's not, and I'm not the insurance company, so I'm not the be all end all of saying if it's covered, but like the guy that called me with the water in his basement, he panicked and he called the insurance company, which totally 150% get, I understand, but had he called me first, and I don't know how that works. I don't know if that's going to count against him because he made a claim, because insurance is so weird now.
Right.
So I need to probably call Luke and see, like, how does that, just pick his brain, like, how does that work? Because that would be another thing that would be very interesting in my mind, is how does that work? So he made the claim. If they close it with $0, does that count against him? Or
no, if we're just making the claim, because it was that particular thing was not a covered event.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
yeah.
Insurance wasn't paying on it. So, but does that still ding him? That I don't know.
Yeah, and that's what info is. Will his rates go up? Will that affect him? So that'd be some of the stuff that I'd like to know too, to educate myself a little bit better. And I probably, after 23 years, should know this stuff, but I don't. I guess I'm slowing down enough now that I can go behind and ask the questions that need to be asked. So,
well, if you're looking for Cindy online, it's just do a search on ServiceMaster Restore by Schmader, because your website is incredibly long.
It is incredibly long.
So a lot of dashes and everything, but that search will get there. That search will get you to it, and you can go to the ServiceMaster Restore site, search for ServiceMaster Restore by Schmader, and be able to pull it up that way too. Awesome. And as I said, just having that information ahead of time,
Yeah.
because you're not going to be thinking straight
No.
when an emergency hits, whether it be a tornado, it could be God forbid a fire, a flood, it could be a lot of different things.
Right.
So these are the things that you just never know. So
Right.
it's good to have somebody in your corner. And I'm
Absolutely.
grateful every time you come in here and we get a chance to sit down and talk. Always good to see you.
So I thank you. I appreciate everything you guys are doing. You guys are doing amazing things.
Thank you for that.
You're going to keep going, and it's just going to be very cool. I was telling us this morning about a podcast that you guys are helping with or something that got 400 comments, and I'm like, that is cool.
Oh yeah, she first episode 10,000 views just on one platform.
that
I haven't even looked at the other platforms. I don't know where she's at with those.
Nice.
And yes, it can. These are the types of things that can happen,
Right.
And
Very
it can
awesome.
just explode. So we thank you also for watching this episode of Council Bluffs Today. Hit follow, like, share, all of those things, and that helps with the algorithm to push this show out further so even more people can see the exciting things that are happening right here at home. My name's Todd Studer. Have a great day.